Hello again, thank you for joining me for another video. Today I wanted to talk about, well, I'm having like a massively rough time. And through the process of thinking about this rough time that I'm going through, insights have come. That's how it goes for me. I notice something that sucks, and then I will try to use it as a tool to gain greater insight into the way that reality is functioning. And in light of the video that I made yesterday, I don't know how I turned into a person that's making videos every day. Well, I do. I'll explain it. Because it goes together in this strange way. The video I made yesterday about rejection sensitive dysphoria and being a neurodivergent person. Now, I want to make some metaphors available to you, and you'll have to hold the metaphors and play with them a little bit in your mind, because I have a hard time sometimes communicating big ideas that are just slightly too big for me to condense, and so, but I still want to talk about it because I'm thinking about it, so I still want to talk about it. So I'm going to attempt to give you enough information to know what's in here. Sorry. It's been rough. I've had a very rough go of things, and I will explain that. So the thing I was thinking about was hive mind versus blockchain mind. And I know using the word hive mind sounds bad, but saying centralized mind doesn't seem as, it almost seems worse. I don't know why, but it kind of does. So the way that I was thinking about it was, so some of us are people on the blockchain. We have a copy of more of reality and access to more of the transactions across broader frames of reference. And with that, have the ability to notice patterns. It's part of the way that information is processed and stored. Now, it isn't to say that everyone couldn't be a blockchain type of person, but there is a time and place for centralized or hive mind interactions with reality. So one thing that I noticed is that information, and if you process the world from a hive mind perspective, just needs to be believed by others. It's kind of like, did I get the download right? Yes? Okay, then we're all good. And the only way you have to convey that you got the download right isn't whether or not it's true or false, but whether or not other people also got it. So the fundamental character there is maintaining the transmissibility of that hive mind interactions. The difference between that kind of person and a kind of person who would be more like blockchain oriented is that reality has to be logically consistent. So without any other feedback from others, reality needs to be logically consistent. It is as if the ledger of reality is available and must be consistent. And where it isn't consistent, it gets rejected. And there's a way to perceive reality in this logical fashion that allows a means of transparency as well as truth holding Because it isn't just about meaning. It's about this version of knowingness and how knowingness is delivered. And when people are agreeing that reality is a certain way, and it's clear that it's not true, you really see the difference between how hive minds operate and get hijacked. And we know the limitations of blockchain. It's slower. The information is larger. You need to go very quickly with it, and it's hard to implement change. And I say this to, I guess, as a portion of maybe some clarity to people who hold these positions of larger, just kind of being held to process larger amounts of information. There's some interesting avenues to travail there on what's happening and why it's happening. And I guess so you don't feel like a fish out of water. If you're not a hive mind person, you're not a hive mind person. There's still this value that is, when you interact with a hive mind person, they aren't going to get it. They're only going to listen to the centralized authority because that is their purpose. That doesn't make it a bad thing any more than our way makes it a bad thing. It's just that they don't communicate well because they weren't made to. And the beauty of the large-scale blockchain way of thinking and interacting with reality is the transparency. I don't know what you're getting downloaded with. You know what I'm saying? But I do know that we can both look at the same reality and come to some conclusions about it. And if I come to conclusions on my own that are pretty extensive, and you come to conclusions on yours that are pretty extensive, and then we just happen to mirror that for each other, and maybe not even ever revealing what those underlying records are. The mirroring, the mirror neurons, the mirrored relational quality. It's getting the feedback of where your reward comes from. Where does the reward come from for what you know? And one is based on this almost a sense of unity being primary. And the other is a sense of truth within the unity. That's I'm not saying it right. Take these concepts and think about it. And get them out of my head. Don't leave me alone with them, please. There's something there, I know it. So I said all of that to say this, because I've had a hard time lately. I've had a very hard time lately. And I sat thinking about, why is it so extra right now? Why is this so extra? And then I realized why it was so extra. So my experience of trauma came through very much like a brand on my soul. And deep within the layers of my being. So it comes out on a patterned frequency. I know when it's going to happen. I know when the veil's thin. Because something happens every year. It started in 81. 81, that happened again in 92, I fell off the cliff. 81, the guy got me. 92, I fell off the cliff. 2003, went into the hospital. 2014, I was homeless. 2025, this has been brutal. It's been a brutal few months. Hanging on through it. where these intense layers of thin, veiled interactions with the supernatural and the potency there has been intense, and it's a hard thing to convey to others. Then I'm just taking on through it and hoping that my spirit gets kind of like sent out and comes back to dry land. The ways that ideology gets transmitted through the this is what I want to say. Our memories, these records of our life, like, we do tend to negate each other's story if it makes us feel uncomfortable. And this is a bit of the hive mind programming. The hive mind programming is about this story that's gonna be perpetuated, and it's not always accurate to reality. But as long as everyone is sharing the same story, there's some sense of stability there. So the things that happen to me, right, are part of my memory. I cannot heal out of this memory. And by that I mean it's not erasable. It's on the blockchain of who I am. It's not deletable. And what I'm noticing, I guess, in the way that people interact in these two different ways, is that there's this lack of transparency and truthfulness about our stories, our memories. And when we disallow others to share the more painful parts of their life, we cannot come up with solutions, because we're literally taking the false story and only upholding the false story. Our real lives hold the real stories, the real problems that need real solutions that we give each other when we are transparent about them. And what that hive mind thinking is a rejection of anything that does not uphold this narrative of a vision that is inaccurate with reality. And so rather than creating solutions to the problems, we're creating this illusion that there are no problems. And then thinking that that's a solution. That's pervasive and painful. And so I'm trying really hard to go to the next place past that, where I don't have to hide so much, because I understand the point of the hive mind, but I also understand that the download is false, and we in these bodies hold the real story of what's been happening. We hold it within us, and so when we bring it out to the light, then solutions come. So I think that's the pain. The pain of that rejection is because it's like at the fundamental level, rejection of a soul's truth for this false reality that will never heal us. And it hurts at a soul level. I think that's why it's such a deep thing. And there's nuance here, so take it with a nuanced approach. But there is something to unpack here. All right, talk to you later. Bye-bye.